team in the NAL, I think M80 will take this 2-0. But I will say, asterisk, wait to see how these first attacks go first.
Yeah, for me, like going into the map blind, obviously, it's a bit of a coin flip for me. I feel like this one could go either way. Like I was talking to one of our observers about this earlier. If we end up seeing the dominance that we had mainly from Spoit come through once again, and that kind of emanates in the same way as it was on Theme Park, I feel like it's going to go pretty handily into M80's hands. But the map layout's quite different here. I feel like DarkZero is going to have a little bit more room to play. So that's where we could obviously see that diminished individual play come out there from Spoit and potentially allow for things to go the other direction. Either way, bans are rolling, and they're actually quite interesting. So we have both an Ace and a Monte being removed from the attacking side.
And the Monte ban intrigues me because we saw DarkZero play a lot of Montaigne, like a lot of Montaigne against Beast Coast. And it honestly wasn't that great. Like, it got them a few moments, got them around, but it wasn't really a huge effective part of their attack, but it was clear they felt very comfortable bringing the Monty, and that was their preferred way of attacking. So even though M80 banning the Monty isn't gonna like remove an ace of DarkZero's sleeve, against Beast Coast, DarkZero ran it a lot and indicated they were very comfortable and liked it a lot. So that being gone, now DarkZero might just have a comfort pick off the board, and once they switch to the attack, that could be enough to throw them off guard. Also, M80 have Ying, and that is a little scary. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That is true, and you mentioned this earlier. They're like, in your opinion at least, one of the best teams with Ying inside of the league right now. So that is indeed going to be very, very worrisome if indeed they're able to bring that same prowess. Obviously, we're going to be on a basement attack, so it's pretty much the perfect fit for it here. Immediately, we're probably going to see that come out from the M80 side of things.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that we see the Ying from M80 on Oregon attack. I mean, they're up 1-0 in the series, and sometimes we'll see teams reserve the Ying for like, oh, it's 6-5, we need a round. Let's bring the Ying, let's catch them off guard, let's move forward. And M80 could be saving that and not want to play their cards too early, which could be a smart deal. And also, there is this one thing we need to say. NJR is playing Warden. Now I want to unpack that a little bit. There's two important parts there. One is the Warden part. Warden is a very direct counter to the Ying. You guys know that. Turns on the glasses, he sees through the flashes, job done. But the other part is NJR is on the Warden, and he typically plays with the shotgun on this site instead of the MPX. So what should you expect from him? Not to play maybe like the laundry machine like we normally see from the Warden, but maybe play over in like E-Box or Bunker. And if M80 go for a back take, that is a very dangerous proposition if they were to bring the Ying, but of course, you aren't right here. But still with flashes, you gotta worry about it.
Camera in position.
Might draw out, might sing as well, and indeed it does. Canadian with the perfect timing, playing that off the intel there that he hears from the footsteps up above. Spoit, ironically enough, is the first one to go down. As we were talking about the impact he might be able to make here inside of the early round, well, he's not making any this time around, as he's taken down outright by the utility from below. Nicely found by Canadian. That'll probably kill any of the remaining aggression that was still out and about on the map from DZ. One kill is really all the advantage, in my opinion at least, that you need on this site hold, so they're going to peel everyone back now and just let M80 set up, because DarkZero don't feel they can successfully take it, even with all the walls and other reinforcements open back up.
This is one of those sad positions where, like, the round isn't over, but it's pretty close.
It's like an 80-20.
Yeah, it's like an 80-20, because it's not just that DarkZero have a man advantage. DarkZero have also removed the only set of nades for M80, and often on a basement attack, if you want to take a gunfight, you just gotta like walk down freezer or walk down laundry or use flashes and land an E-Box drop. And that's how you win off gunfights. An easy way to maybe mitigate the probability of taking a 50-50 is use a frag grenade. That's basically like a free pass to win a gunfight. If you get a frag grenade kill, because you didn't actually have to fight anybody with it, you just use your utility. But now it's gone. So if M80 want to even equalize that man advantage, they'll have to spend all the time they need to clear out Oregon, and then they'll just have to push down either back tower stairs or bunker or freezer in a man disadvantage, and now it's even worse. Because Canadians killed 2, one of them being the Hibana, and now it's a 3v4 with all the core positions for DZ still intact.
Another pickup now going to be found by NJR also, as he's dropped out. So Iconic and Gomez are all that remain. They're split pushing it, which realistically enough is the right call to make here in this situation, but basically just putting it onto a bunch of separate 1v1s at that point. Iconic realizes this probably is not going to work out the cleanest if they go that way, so they at least play things a bit closer to the chest by deploying that smoke out. hoping we see Iconic go for the drop on Hatch, but never mind. He will fully regroup. They'll play this together on the assault. Try to see if that will be enough to push past Pillar and take the site. The smoke is imperfect as well here, or no. We're just going to be seeing a Warden look out from the other side of it. MJR can see right through those smokes, so it's an easy pick to start off this final play, and an easy pick to end it as well. 2 more for NJR, closes down the round, and puts it willingly into the hands of DZ.
Well, if you're a impartial spectator or me, who made a prediction before this game, not in a great spot, because it'd be one thing if, M80 took a duel on the attack and, they just got outplayed. But that was about as rough of a round to start as you could get, because you lose Spoit early on, literally one of the best entries in the NAL, not even from a gunfight, from a C4 from below. And then you still have to clear all of Oregon. It's like, okay, we just have to do what we would do anyway, but with one less person. So once we spend a minute and a half, opening up hatches and acquiring control and starting to put feelers out on back tower stairs or what have you, we have to do all that with the knowledge that once we get there, we're walking into a disadvantaged situation. So on the opposite side, to play the optimist, M80, that was rough, but that was a basement attack. You're probably gonna lose it anyway. Now let's actually see what happens. Drone a little bit more effective, hunt down Canadian. Don't lose your entry right off the rip.
We'll see if they can make up for that disadvantage this time. Like we said, not really something that, unfortunately, Spoit had a whole lot of control over. Just got a little unlucky with the pathing he took. Walks right into a Nitro cell. Canadian as well, able to be very happy about that one, but indeed one that he probably is not going to find every single round. So hopefully the addition of Spoit to that early and mid-round clear, at a minimum, that's hope. That's a hope that you would see him able to stay to that midpoint of the round. Is going to be enough of an addition to the fragging power here to make a difference and allow for M80 to take their own first round. A bit more of an exposed site as well. Obviously, with us moving up to the second floor, still a pretty safe bet for the defenders most of the time, but attackers do tend to find a bit more footing here, especially on the outskirts of that site. You can at least take a few duels before stepping to the inside of it, unlike basement, where it's very much an all-or-nothing commitment for most attacking teams.
First nade from Gomez, trying to clear out that position. Close on dorms, but finds no purchase on any member of the defense. Struggling to open up this bedroom wall as well. They'll have to rotate Spoit down below, not necessarily to jump in, but just to use that as charge, destroy that mute jammer. There it'll go. Never mind, actually. Ooh, it misses the mute jammer. That's unfortunate and very unlucky. Like, Spoit does still have one, but this is just more and more time wasted for M80, and there's still an impact trick from Canadian. One impact and a few bullets takes down the Dokkaebi, and another opening duel lost by M80 and untraded by them as well.
So finally, there we go. That wall will be opened back up. Achieve's position going to be exposed. The X-Kairos, as we see, though, them still end up surviving the assault from the impact nade, and Achieve going to actually try and shoot these out. Very well done, actually.
Wow.
He's able to find quite a few of them just with his gun due to the awkward angle. And then the impact takes care of the other one. So complete denial on the entry from walk-in. Gomez was hoping this would present an opportunity for him to frag out, and indeed it will. But at the cost of Canadian, also knocking out Iconics. They're not getting away with it 4-0. NJR and Pam with 2 more to add on top of that. DZ are slaying out in the site right now. Here, just Diaz left in a 1v4, and he doesn't even see Cavini waiting for him on the rotate. So that's going to be another very one-sided round in the favor of DarkZero.
That was dorms. They were going to lose it anyway. So now that we're on meeting hall and kitchen, or kitchen and dining, now things will change. No, in all seriousness, those have been two very well-played defenses by DarkZero. I especially love Achieved on the impact trick. Lets 2 of the X-Kairos go, because he knows that Kino is trying to bait out the impact trick. And then also knows that if he only uses 2, he's not going to get an angle that actually means anything. Like, he can't shoot Achieved from that angle. He can't deny the impact trick from that angle. What it does do, it allows Achieved to impact trick it easier and also shoot some through the soft wall. So if anything, that angle actually helps him. Just very good play from Achieved in that position specifically. And then also great play from Canadian, who has started both these rounds not only with an opening pick, but also a double kill to start both of these rounds on the roam. And if that continues to be a factor for DarkZero, yeah, it's Oregon defense, but it's going to be rough for M80 if they don't start adapting to Canadian roaming around the map.
Like you're making a joke of, though, this is the tertiary site, so if they were going to win any of these 3, this would obviously be the one that they would look to take.
I don't want to say it, but they're down 2-0 and they bring out the Ying.
It's the immediate fix to all of these issues. Just Ying every single round. Steven will start winning out. Let's see.
It's the Ambrosia, for any of my Greek mythology kids.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Shout out.
Attackers have
I
recovered
mean,
their
it
defeat.
is very good, and especially if you just want a very quick execute to kind of stunt DZ's momentum as well, why not? What I want to see, though, there was a C4 pre-placed on Garage. All right, they know. I wanted to see if we'd see Spoit take out the scanner and be careful, and indeed he will, so they'll shoot the pre-placed C4. Good heads-up play by DarkZero, but even better by Spoit to make sure that he doesn't die to a C4. 2 of the 3 rounds on the attack so far. And now, he'll actually get this upstairs control and this early upstairs pressure, but unfortunately, it's still for naught, because Canadian, a menace so far on map number 2. 3 opening kills now for Canadian, though this one is traded.
Not a double, unfortunately,
Not a
for Canadian this time, so that streak is going to come to an end here on round 3, but his perfect entry streak continues here. 3-0 so far, even though, yeah, he does get traded there. It still counts as the first kill. So 3-0 overall here. Let's start things out for Canadian. Things will quickly be re-equalized on this specific round, and everything's going to go relatively quiet after that, too. DarkZero not trying to advance too much into the faces of M80's clear upstairs. They don't really have the rotates for it anyway. They certainly want something to route back through Attic with if they were going to be deploying towards that, so M80 do have a pretty clean time now of opening up all these top downs and a good amount of excess time in the bank, too, so it's going to be very low stress on the XQ right now from M80. At least until they make the transition downstairs, where things will get a little bit more tense for them as they have to clear out the overall setup, of course.
Iconic fumbling with the exothermic will require both to open up that hatch as they move over for a kitchen-sided execute. There's still 2 players from DarkZero standing in their way. Achieved and Gavini, a duo right now in dining and showers respectively. And M80 only have a minute to start to clear them out. They have those Candelas, they have these frag grenades, and they also just have players that will push in no matter what. But Gavini's still getting aggressive, and Diaz Lucas doesn't check the corner. The Candelas might go out, but it seems all for naught. Kino will work his way into security. That is a very impressive bit of control, and Dome's Panmazoo as well. Now we have a game.
Ying immediately going to be chucked into the position where 2 additional members of DarkZero are positioned at 2, gives him the window of opportunity to run through, and it flushes one out for Spoit as he's still holding on that other part of the map. A little bit dangerous here because of how they split their players up, but it should all work out, in my opinion. Achieved now, so with a clutch potential, going to try to win this out in the 1v2, and M80 very quickly trying to regroup the remaining players also. Another Ying Candela, he's got 2 more of them, might as well use them, just casually chuck them over the case, blind out the player, trying to get the counter defuse, and immediately shut it down. A rough early round, but it is redeemed in the final moments as M80 finally claim their first attack.
A very rough early round, and you got to give credit to Kino for bringing M80 back right there. Saved all of his Candelas, and even though the push from M80 was starting to falter, he takes matters into his own hands, uses that Candela, and doesn't just send it into sight and go for broke. No, he takes security control, and that's a very important difference, because if he had just ran straight into kitchen, he'd walk in the middle of a crossfire. There'd be the player in green who could swing out, and then likely the player in meeting who could then trade out the player in green if he ends up dying. But instead he goes to security where he kills NJR. Now he's sort of evaded the crossfire a little bit, still in danger, but he has a very slight angle on the green and is able to catch the player off guard. And that is the moment where the round swings in their favor. Not even Spoit getting that 2v2, because now they can go for the bomb down. And with Kino basically cutting off the rotation for M80, it's a much easier position not only to put the bomb down, but also to set up Spoit for a future play if he wants to.
All right, so M80 yet again going to try to find solid footing on a second attack. Things weren't necessarily drastic outright for this basement attacker. It's just the earlier issues they had run into that made it quite an easy follow-through for DZ on the actual site. So we'll see if M80 can kind of patch things up. With that said, even the round they've won, there was difficulties in the early rounds, so that is just not a great expectation to have if you're a fan of M80 right now. But I am certain that it is a big focus of theirs. So we'll see if they're finally going to be able to hit the ground running, as it were, on this round. The second go-around of sites just starting now as DZ makes the return to the basement.
I doubt we'll have the same C4 thrown so early on. Not even necessarily because Canadian doesn't want to throw it, just because M80 will be that much more diligent in their clear. Also the power of not only Flores in general, but also the power of Flores in this position. He can clear out so much of that utility in bunker and in elbow to deal with. And Spoit actually might just have a kill. Canadian still gets it, though. How? Literally how?
That was just being, oh no, that was Panama that went down, not even Canadian. So I was about to say, now he's just being traded, but maybe that's not happening. Canadian just stealing one away, beats Spoit to the punch by like half a second somehow. And like we said, keeps that perfect entry record going, even though the past 2 rounds has been immediately countered by someone on the other team.
I can't, man. I can't. This is too funny. He's feeling himself. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Just Canadian, stat padding now.
Well, not only is he stat padding, it's clear how comfortable he is right now. Because normally I talk about that Canadian just like lurk in the mid round. Like if it's dorms, he's sitting in basement. Why? Because he can. Because he wants to. But no, here he's throwing C4s under the floor. He's sitting in big tower against M80, who, no offense, are ridiculously mechanically skilled and probably could outgun Troy a lot of the time. And he's still doing it, and he's still getting kills. And now look at this. 4v4, M80 have 2 drones and no clutch drones to back up with. Maybe the Rotero drones and the Gemini Replicator, if you want to be generous. And NGR,
make the play. Make the play. Do it.
Peek it.
Ah! Swung forward a little bit here to try to get it, but at the same time, he is on the shotgun, so maybe feeling that the pellet wouldn't have done enough damage, giving his opponent the room to react. Does it with the Toxic Babe instead. Backs him away. Canadian, a little step forward, keeps him safe as the nade tries to pressure him out, but it only pressures him forward. Into Harry Potter there, where he's able to avoid all the damage from that nade. Away from that, though, still a lot of potential energy boiling up from M80 right now. Potentially swing down against him. There's the Nitro we're looking to see, but yeah, it's way too easy to spot by Kino and the rest of M80, so they back away from that and also avoid the full breadth of damage.
Canadian's still alive, though, but I mean, Candela's a flashbang and a frag grenade as well. This might be the end of our mad little Goyo, but inside of the site, Gavini takes down 2. Canadian's not long for this world, but Gavini's still running the race. NGR was also never given up control of Elbow. With only 15 seconds left, DS needs to win this fight, but against NGR with a shotgun, I'd feel sorry for anybody who's got to take that engagement. In this case, it's iconic, trying to make something happen and trying to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, but instead, in about 2 seconds, make that no time at all. It's the 2nd basement win for DarkZero.
Another very convincing one at that as well. Beautifully held, especially when it came down to the basement play itself. What's more, a little crazy on the early round is Canadian just barely managed to steal that opening pick away, but this time it's equalized. It's brought down to a 4v4, but even then, once more, the actual site setup does its job pretty much perfectly, and M80 are just not able to make their play work. A little kind of spread out utility usage coming in from DarkZero, so Canadian using the Nitro very late into the round, just expands the time bank further and further into DarkZero's favor, and then when M80 are finally ready to push forward, they are immediately gunned down by an angle to counter out backstairs pressure, and as soon as those 2 kills are claimed, even though, yes, there's an exchange on the Canadian, the advantage is already far too gone at that point, given that basically +2 they would have been working with, so it's not really workable there for M80 to bring things back, because once more, it's that basement attack, and you really do need the full breadth of pretty much your entire team in order to make those attacks work in most situations. Winning a basement attack and an outnumbered like 2v4 something like that is just
not great.
Really difficult to make happen, if not outright impossible.
No, it's not easy. I mean, there is a reason that this map, even so long into its lifespan, is still one of the more defender-sided maps in the game, at least consistently defender-sided, you know, ignoring maps that are like super defender-sided when they come out and they end up kind of equalizing later on. This map has always been a good haven for a defensive team because of basement, because of dorms, and specifically basement out of those 2. Canadian is on Solus. This is a problem because so far Canadian is 4-0 on the entry and we've only had 4 rounds. And M80 so far, even when he's sitting in Big Tower, have not had a great entry for Canadian in the early rounds so far throughout this series. And now he's playing Solus again. Even if he gets no kills, he can do a lot of damage to M80's utility, which has been dwindling down to about 3 or even 2 drones by the time they go in for an execute. On top of that, in terms of other utility, they have to deal with this impact trick from Achieved, which is still proving to be very difficult for M80 to deal with. Just layering 2x Kairos on that wall. And finally, maybe Achieved? Nope, still able to shoot some, but this time the hole is only slightly wider, John.
Yeah,
not by much at all.
Still not big enough that may actually rotate.
Still has impact. Are you kidding me?
But at the same time, that's not necessarily the goal of this breach, is to make it so that players can outright rotate through it. It's more to have the gun angle more than anything, so It's not the end of the world, but it gets interrupted as heavily as it did in the previous round. Still no opening kill, by the way, inside of this one yet. Canadian's still out and about, so we'll have to see who it'll end up coming from if that streak from Canadian will finally be broken as M80 getting ready to push themselves into the site. So maybe it is finally time for someone else here to shine, but at the same time, Canadian still with some potential to play out here as they have not taken full White Stairs control just yet, so he could very quickly punish Gomez if he pushes a bit too far towards him. And indeed, nope, actually going to drop back down, but that still means he's in the play for this one, depending on the way he rotates. Takes the safe path, though. He's going to head up one of the other staircases, so he is removing himself from the equation here. Entry power is coming through from M80 into the actual site now because of that White Stairs control. They're going to follow it through in, and finally, Spoit gets one of his own personal entries. Got very close to it 2 rounds ago, but he's going to actually seal the deal here on this run. Oh, no! Seemed like a player would have been going down dead to right in the back of bunks there, but out of nowhere, DZ shut down the entire execute. 4 kills in the span of just a few seconds. Diaz saw that remains. It's somewhat workable for him, but doesn't stay that way. Pamba shuts it out inside of the big dorms. One final shutout. It gives the round over to DZ yet again.
Only loss in that round for DarkZero is Canadian has lost a streak. He is still 4-0 on the entry, to be fair. He just didn't get the opening duel that time.
A little too slow.
A little too slow. A little too slow, unfortunately. M80, perhaps a little too quick. Struggling to get a lot of angles opened up, or get a lot of space opened up on that bedroom wall. Even as you said, they're not necessarily using it to walk in. Achieved has been so problematic, not only impact tricking, but also just straight up shooting the X-Kairos, that I just have to imagine M80 are not getting everything they want from that bedroom wall with just how much Achieved has been fighting back. And if Canadian's still doing some damage on the drone economy, really right there, it wasn't something you could easily point to. M80 push on in, they think they have an opening, and they do. Spoit ends up getting the opening pick. But DarkZero, just take advantage of dorms. There are a lot of positions that you can hide from the attack and then peek out, play trades. And it just so happens that in this case, DarkZero won more of the gunfights than M80 did. Simple as that.
So with DZ continuing to dominate, it's another big question. Is can M80 at least secure the 2-4, which is like kind of the bar minimum most teams would want here on this map? If they can get that, like you said, they're still in a perfectly fine position as far as I'm concerned, assuming that their defenses are going to be as up to par as we've seen DarkZero play things. But 5-1, so it gets a little bit dodgy. They might have to start looking forward to map number 3 if that ends up coming to fruition.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers recovered the diffuser.
The Ying again. Of course, they got to worry about Achieved on that warded, but the Ying again was what made it for M80 and what brought that round back, because let's keep this in mind, by the way. It was a 2v4 for M80, for Kino and Spoit to win. That they played very well, to be fair. But still, this could be 5-0 if DarkZero had won that round and Kino not performed as well as he had. Another C4 from below, almost taking Spoit's life. There's somebody else to worry about. Is that Canadian? That's got to be Canadian.
No,
it's not. Oh,
We're
safe now.
That was Panda that threw that, yeah.
You never know these days. You never know.
Well, I mean, it was the first kill, so it's like...
Exactly.
Katie gets a call. No one's allowed to kill until I have.
It's like going in a boat with jaws underwater. It's never safe.
So we'll see if either of those players is able to negotiate that opening kill. Obviously not finding it from the Nitro position, but M80 also starting to open a few top downs now, so that's going to present opportunities to both teams, more so to the attackers on top, of course, but defenders can find a few shots as well from time to time. Focus from M80 is very much, though, on establishing site control over all other factors, as they already have opened up the backstage wall. And that's a nice, easy plan opportunity if they want to try to force the issue this early.
And importantly, they have vertical control as well, with nobody from DarkZero playing Addict, or even really contesting that vertical angle. So getting a bomb down and meeting, and to some extent, dining as well, if they were to take down Achieved and Convenient, admittedly, is a lot easier, but M80 very much aiming for a meeting plant. And this makes Canadian's position a little bit more difficult, because now they actually have time to maybe hunt him down if he wants to, or just ignore him, because he can get intel, but really, with no C4s or anything, he's useless from this position. He's not going to actively help this site unless from this hatch. And as the Candelas go on in, that's what he's looking to do.
Let's see what I can
Diaz is going to secure the opening kill this time for M80. Unfortunately, Toxic Babe's blocking off a lot of the access points, but Spoit just taking full command on his own regard. 2 more kills found from his POV. Kano gets number 4 and Achieved completely disconnected from the scenario right now. Going to have to try and find a way to get back into it, but no, it's a flawless round from M80 to indeed secure that bar minimum 2-4 scoreline at halftime.
Yeah, not out of it yet, and now they get to go to the defense. I will say, probably a little bit sad they weren't able to maybe pick up a 3-3 or at least make that 2-4 a little bit cleaner, just because, similar to Theme Park, if you pick Oregon, the other team that gets side selection is going to pick the defense. So you're going to want just to feel a little bit more comfortable at the side swap. Getting a 3-3, minimum of 4-2, like we said. Those attacks are a little shaky. They still got what they needed in the end. And DarkZero also just performing very well in the defense. And switching to the attack, as I said earlier, against the Beast Coast squad, they relied so heavily on the Monty and the Ying, but the Monty as well. And the Ying is on the board, thankfully, and we're going to see a lot of it from DarkZero, I would expect, on this half because of the loss of that Monty. But they still struggled, even with those kind of cheesy operators on the board. So with the loss of that Monty, I'm looking at DarkZero for how they play this first and maybe second attack as well on basement and dorms. Because if they lose those, that'll make it a 4-4, but if they do as well and it's not close, I'm worried about how the loss of one of those key operators in their attacking strategy is going to affect that for the remainder of the half.
All right, well, let's see now. As DZ about to spawn out. Fury picks, but again, they're not going to like change the pace of this round any huge degree. Canadian being the main one to focus on there as he brings the Capitao into the fold, which could shake things up in the actual execution phase once DZ feel the confidence to move forward into that one. Flora's going to be used from the get-go, though, to quickly try and take out some of this utility on the inside of the new elbow area. We'll knock it out quite quickly and actually get everything there, too. It's certainly stretching the limits on the explosion radius there, but managed to get both the shield as well as, I think, 2 of the ADSs that were sitting on the wall there.
Welcome that deployed.
See, that's the advantage you have. Well, I was about to say that's the advantage you have when you have 3 deployable shields, but Iconic is now dead.
It's a kill triangle there.
Yeah, I actually think he went to go put the shield down, and then him and Achieved traded, or him and Diaz traded at least. Still 1-for-1. And they've lost the remaining deployable shields. So if they wanted to rotate that and move it into bunker, not possible. Well, I mean, you could rotate that one. But if you wanted to keep the remaining positions and then put another shield in bunker, that opportunity is now gone. There's only 1 remaining for M80. DarkZero clearing the entire map, starting on the 2nd floor now, likely transitioning later on. The loss of those Rotero drones will be definitely a hard pill to swallow, as the 2 frag grenades from Gavini will have to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of destroying that deployable shield, even destroying something as simple as like a frost mat from Gomez. Sure, there's no windows for you to hop in on the basement, but if it's, say, late in the round, 30 seconds left, and you're trying to dodge Candelas that are blinding you, having a Rotero drone destroy a frost mat early on would be nice. Now that's not really an option available to them anymore.
Quick pop here of the laundry drop. Not going to change anything up drastically for DZ, but just another check off the list of things they're going to want to accomplish before they move forward into the actual site. Cavini as well trying to establish forward drone presence. He wants to certainly keep this one alive, so not pushing it all the way forward just yet. You can see the drone game actually relatively healthy right now for DarkZero, so could afford to potentially chuck that one away, but still going to be playing it passively regardless. They have about 5 or 6 of those remaining. Away from that, though, he's certainly starting to feel the heat with all these openings being made here. In less than a minute left as well, the relative patience from DarkZero starting to scare M80 a little bit. We'll have to see what this all leads into in a moment. As once again, a nade will go through. Hopefully this will allow once again for them to be able to take out the majority of utility sitting around the corner. Was hoping for a player, I think, there as well. They do actually get a good amount of damage on the Spoit on the 2nd one, but for the most part, not the impact that they overall wanted to find, I don't think.
That's what the Candelas are for. The frag grenades, they can destroy utility, but these, they need to let Pamazu do some killing. It's got to be a party inside a laundry, and well, for M80, it's a very, very sour time. Diaz now the only one left, as DarkZero very quickly and concisely put things in their favor in round 7, and even more Candelas to stop Diaz from pushing forward. Might be able to find some movement on the freezer angle, but only finds more damage dealt to him as we move into a post plant. Spots just a sliver of the head, but only more bullets fire his way. DarkZero win their first attack, and if you were worried that maybe DZ would fall asleep at the side swap, yeah, that's not the case.
Certainly not the case at all. And unfortunately, it's M80 that just cannot catch the timing of when DZ were going to move themselves forward. The Candela really singing it out for them, as well as it allowed for one of their players to just walk into the site, despite being challenged as well. Multiple players was just standing in the middle of laundry for like 5 to 10 seconds because of the effect that Candela does have. There's so much control just gifted over to DZ because of the great initiation from them. And once more, that's the very difficult part about playing against DZ. It starts to look like if you're on the defense, like they're not even going to have time to attack it. They run it down to 20, 15, sometimes 10 seconds left on the clock without even stepping foot into the site, but then suddenly it all explodes in one fell swoop, and M80 just not ready for the challenge, it seems, as all the entries go the way of DZ there.
A good start to win that basement attack. It'll scare M80 up to dorms. They don't want to try it again. with already such a small gap between DarkZero's rounds and a regulation victory. Try a different site, try to keep DarkZero on their toes.
10 seconds
Try to
left.
keep yourselves fresh and appraised of these new sites. Keep yourself active.
5
See if you can
remaining.
play like Jazz and keep up with the changes. Ying switching hands, by the way. Panbazoo picking up the Amaru, and now Canadian going with the Candelas. Panbazoo maybe just trying to acquire some of that big tower control early, with Iconic sitting up there, but that's likely not the case. Panbazoo could just maybe send it up a hatch, send it in a bedroom window, as he doesn't have the Supernova, but when NJR was playing that Amaru against Beast Coast, he used the Supernova on Hibana, not Amaru, to repel into dorms and try to take a 1v1 inside of that position. Maybe Panbazoo will do that now that he has the Amaru and it's a little bit more sudden than the repel. Plus also, NGR is going to be on this side of the map a lot of the time. He's got to open up the bedroom wall and also join a lot of the utility clear on this part of the map anyway, so it'd be a pretty lengthy rotate if you would want to repeat that again.
As we see DarkZero's try to set themselves up for more presence to push forward here, mainly upstairs, of course. To have to wait it out as M80 will not be challenging things from here directly. Panba lined up for the swing in the big window.
That is absurd.
Yeah, that's like, we'll have to wait and see here, because like I said, this is going to be very odd if he goes for it. But indeed, he's going to commit, ends up running into the laser gate in the process. But Gomez claims the opening kill for M80. However, the follow-through is good. And more importantly, Panba stayed alive and picked up at least one kill. The Nitro response from Kino down below does take him out. But look at the room it's given DZ. The plant is down. Canadian succeeds in finding it just in time, apparently, too, as Kino is here for the retake. Gavini able to take out another member of the M80 retake. That's not going to ultimately sell things just yet here. Another pickup from Diaz knocks out Cavini. And DZ, although they give us a very nice plant, may not be secured on the round just yet. NJR, nicely shot out there as he avoids the destruction right in front of him. Pumps out one, just one to go here as well. Kino's fallen. Diaz needs to find the clutch. Only 13 seconds left as well for him to get onto the case. How's he going to frustrate directly and right into the hands of NJR as he gets the clutch instead for DZ?
How about a Supernova 1v2 to go to match point? The mayor's back in town, boys. And look at how excited he is. Riveted by the play that he just did. No, honestly, cold as ice from NJR right there. He's got the Supernova. He knows the bomb is down. One, shoots the C4 with the Supernova. And then two, finishes out the 1v2. Overall, excellent execute by DarkZero. I forgot you could Gara hook into big window just by standing next to it. I'll write that one down. But to send it to match point, they are basically doing to M80 what M80 have done to multiple teams in the NAL. Use the Ying, blitz in, catch the defense completely off guard, win the round. And if Laundry was an example of that, Dorms was that, but like times 10. Yep. And now if they just do it one more time, it's a 7-2, and I kind of look silly.
And with the way M80 normally plays things, they might end up rotating onto their third site anyway. But we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, they're in a timeout right now, so the coach should be telling them to like go back to basement or something. We'll have to kind of wait this one out.
That's the difficult position, too. It's like, well, we've lost basement and we've lost dorms.
They're going to retry basement, it looks like.
So do we want to go to a new site that we haven't lost? Which
that's like also usually pretty weak for defense.
Which we are less likely to win and is actually the only 2 rounds we got on attack? Or do we want to go back to basement? In this case, they'll make the smart decision, which what you said, which is go back to basement. This was still a round where we were able to stall things out for the time being, especially challenge bunker as well, and still at least come away with an equalize in the early round, and also take down the Flores early on as well. And it took DarkZero a little bit of time to get to the execute. By the way, remember that stat. You read it. You're already on this.
89% of the time when the other team takes a timeout, DZ win the next round.
So, thank you, John. So, if you've been keeping score, that actually did not hold true on Theme Park.
True.
M80 were able to win the round.
Which means it should be less than 89.
So, I mean, it is less than 89, but that still means it's comparable to 89.
Yeah.
So it's still, the odds are still in DarkZero's
It's still a very
favor.
high percentage.
Yes.
Is the main point to get across here.
Attackers must locate.
So let's see how they do.
and defuse a
This is
bomb.
also, I believe, I don't think we've seen much of the Solus from M80 so far on the defenses. So Iconic will pick that up, likely to do some damage to DarkZero's drones in the early round. And with how clean these executes have been from DZ, I think doing damage to their drone economy early on and squeezing out a little bit of time wasted, even if it's like 30 seconds, that'll help you so much in the late round.
Very quickly, we're going to see Achieve to route himself through the flames here, just taking all the Goyo canisters. That will prompt a quick retreat as well from the Goyo himself. Diaz not going to be able to maintain inside of Elbow just yet. Can retake it a little bit later on. Of course, DarkZero is not going to immediately swing in for that control themselves, or at least we would hope they wouldn't. As we can see here, though, the Gar hook has stayed in play. It'll be that quick tower control just being deployed by Pan, but nothing to really hunt out, though, on the silhouette side of things. He's got one player way down in the depths at the bottom of main stairs, but that's a long way detached from his current position. Iconic tries to go for a swing, but that white van on the outside of the door gets a little bit too much into the way, so no shots connecting.
Well, he'll back up into Armory alongside, wow, 3 people roaming top floor on a basement defense. I didn't mean be that aggressive.
This is a wild card.
Yeah, this is a I mean, but right now they're in danger. If DarkZero read this, they could just start moving and hitting the site. Gavini instead will buy into it and sees an opportunity for an opening pick. Potentially 2 with the Dokkaebi call ringing out. He can hear the 2 phone calls on the top floor. Maybe DarkZero can cut those defenders off as they rotate back. This might not be a site hit, but this might be a DarkZero 5v2 if they can cut off these roamers.
Roamers no easy path to retreat either, with Panma now closing the gap in from the other side by Attic. Very strange we don't see a proficient trade setup show up for the death of Iconic there as well. They were still moving around, to be fair, so good possibility they just weren't in their correct positions as of yet, but still, you would have hoped to have found it, especially with Iconic being so aggressive to take that fight. Speaking of which, Spoit moves out, takes another duel. This time it's against Gavini. Neither player is down, but elsewhere on the map, Gomez does find a pick against Canadian. Panva, though, completes the set against Spoit, and now brings it down to a 4v3. Still in the favor of our attackers here as we enter the final minute of play. But the 3 remaining defenders have all successfully made it into the basement, so this is not an impossible hold for them to achieve.
It's not. It's not impossible at all. It's cost a lot, but DarkZero have low time and haven't been able to open up the laundry hatch. And even the E-box hatch, which is soft right now, which has not been reinforced, but DarkZero are so low on time, and Gomez is still getting so aggressive, even in the 3v4, that if he gets this kill and backs off, it's a lot cleaner. But now he's gone, and DarkZero are solidly in the lead.
They're feeling it now as well. NJ, a little crouch check as he finishes that player off. Diaz and Keto, all that remains here, both stuck in the depths of the basement. Diaz just wants to play it into the face of the Iana pressing forward as well. Leaves far too large of a gap to go back, and the second kill is immediately claimed by Gavini as well. That'll close it down, and quite convincingly in the favor of DarkZero as they take control of map number 2 of the series, 7-2.
And if you wanted more, don't worry. We got map 3 right after this.